Hi, everybody. This is Teri Lindeberg here, and I'm doing episode 15 of my video series where I document all of my spiritual experiences that I've had since 2019. This episode details the experience, I think it was about a year ago, to be honest, about this time a year ago. And this is just a beautiful, beautiful memory and experience that I had. So I woke up in the middle of the night and the room was really dark. And I remember hearing my name. So I was sort of asleep first, but I heard my name, the name Teri. And then there was a pause, and then I heard it again, and then I was fully awake, hearing it while I was hearing it. I heard my name again, Teri. So I heard it twice. And I remember thinking, who's talking to me? And I looked over, and my BF was snoring. So it wasn't him. And I thought to myself, okay, wow, wow. And for some reason, at that moment, now, usually when I sleep, I kick off all the covers and then sometimes I pull them back on. I have very light covering, but I'll kick it off, I'll pull it back on. I just get warm, hot, or cold, hot. And so for some reason, as I was laying there and it was pitch black in the room, so I couldn't see anything, I put my arm up and I put my hand up on my shoulder because I usually wear like a sleeveless top. And I put my hand up on my shoulder and it was freezing, like ice. I mean, like ice, not just cold, like cold skin. It was like ice. It was freezing. And I was like so in shock at how cold it was. And I went and put my hands down and I grabbed the blanket or the sheet and I pulled it up over me and, up over my neck and stuff. And I turned around because I was still so sleepy. And I just laid there for a minute and I just said, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for waking me up. Thank you. And then I drifted back to sleep. And I just felt this warmth and this love, right, from this experience and this voice, right, that I just felt was near presence. I just felt this presence. Well, in the morning when I finally woke, it was the first thing on my mind and reliving the whole thing and the voice and the memory and the cold and that voice. And it was this voice. I started to analyze the voice and it was a man, it was a male voice. It didn't have an accent to me. It was American and spoke English, like American English. There was no accent to it. It was like me. It was like how I talk, right? So I wouldn't hear an accent. It was very familiar. It was beautiful. This voice was beautiful. It was almost like, I put the age in the 30s. So I kept thinking, oh, this was Jesus. This was Jesus speaking to me. That's so lovely, right? It was just how I imagined. And so it was just a beautiful, beautiful experience. Now, okay, I am going to mention this just because it's worth mentioning. I have done some work over the past 6 months where just to find out things, which I've never done before really in my life, really, where just to find out so I did have some psychic readings, some tarot card readings, and then I got to ask some questions of the spirit world and find out some things. And I did ask a question. This was one of my questions. Who was it that came to speak to me? Who was that? And I got a no on that. It was Jesus himself. But I got what, not maybe a firm no, but like kind of a no, right? But I got an explanation of that it was me. That it was me from another timeline, from like the future. It was me from the future. I guess I was a man, or maybe will be in the future. I don't know how these things work. It's just keeping an open mind to how we're in a weird world, let's just face it. But it was me, or my higher self, coming back to tell me to cover up, right? And I, so of course when I heard that, I was just like, what? Like, of course I read about things like this in my deep dives, that there's timelines, there's various timelines. There's like Nikola Tesla supposedly came from a different timeline. And there's a lot of timeline stuff out there. Maybe some of you listen to it. So, but that was just really neat to hear that might have been me. And to be honest, I was so familiar with it, like that voice. I knew that voice, or it felt so incredibly familiar to me. So I am open. I have to do my own dowsing on that, to be honest, to just get my own clarification. So maybe I'll come back in a later video and talk about whatever that came out to be. But I found that interesting as a possibility. And I take everything with a grain of salt. I know what happens to me. I know what I hear, what I experience, what I feel. But sometimes we don't know exactly what's behind every single thing. But still, just the fact, my feeling is, if I had not woken up and that was so cold, I mean like ice. And I don't know, like I've told you in different videos, there are, there's good and or dark and light kind of energies and spirits everywhere, right? So, it could have been a dark energy making me so cold, right, that I would get sick or something like that in the room. I don't know. Maybe this was me coming to protect me from that, right? Maybe they knew this was going to happen. I was going to get sick, came through to me to tell me, wake up, changing your fate, cover up, you won't get sick. Maybe. Maybe, I don't know. But it's just wonderful to ponder and think of. But it was a beautiful thing that happened. That voice was beautiful. And I was so grateful, and I just felt so much love from it, like so much love. And care, right? That there's another realm. I like to call it a realm, the spirit realm. There's another realm that cares about us. Maybe it's another timeline, another realm. I don't know, but we we are cared about, and I do believe firmly that they care about you too. You've got spirits that care about you. It's just if you're open to receiving it. I know some people live a very kind of rigid life, and that they believe everything they see on TV, for instance, or some other kind of ideology. But if you're just a little bit more, become a little bit more flexible and more just open to just clear your mind. Just try to clear your mind of thought and of belief, and just have it open, and this realm might be able to come through to you. It's just worth trying sometimes and thinking, instead of having the thought about everything, just trying to look away from it all. I try to do that as often as possible right now, not to get engaged too much with craziness or with just too much talk, about nothing. That's my experience that I have to tell you for today. I hope you have a great day and a great weekend. Friday here, um, April 10th, I think, Friday. So, anyways, wishing everyone a wonderful, wonderful weekend.